Live, and we just wait a few moments until it registers on my Facebook page.
Okay.
And we wait for people to join. Beautiful. I think it is working right now. It always looks like I'm like looking around the screen, but I am kind of looking around the screen.
It's all good. In retail too, I usually look around a lot.
Okay, let's see. I think we are live. I'm going to say hi to our watchers, our viewers, while all of this loads on my ancient computer. And hopefully it's working. And we'll wait until beautiful. Awesome. Hi, Brian. Yay. Let us know if you can hear us. You can hear my voice. Can you hear Sarah's voice?
Hey.
Hey. You can hear the chimes. They're
Yes,
here with us too. Leah's here. Beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to share this to Sarah's page. So Sarah has it on her page, and then we'll do all the formalities because, you know, we want to make sure that your friends see you too. And it's just, you know, I have this ancient computer, so I just, you know, wait until things load. And while things are loading, I'll say, my name is Baravi Shara. I am the host of Fearless Friday. I'm a multidimensional healer. I am a current campaign manager for a mayoral election here in Sedona. And I'm also organizing and helping to organize a global walk for the awareness of human trafficking and child exploitation. It's called Freedom for the Children. And you might have seen some of my work just busting out on my Facebook wall. And through all of that work and through all of that activism work, I got connected with Sarah. And Sarah is a survivor of SRA. And what, you know, when she wrote to me her bio, when I first met her online, she wrote to me her bio and she wrote SRA, and I didn't know what SRA was. And so I had to ask that question. And so, as you know, Fearless Friday is a show that is talking about all things fear. And right now there's a big uproar in our communities and our greater awareness in our global communities of human trafficking and child exploitation. And Sarah is going to talk to us about her survival story of being a victim and a survivor. I'm going to take victim out of it because she's a survivor now. So I just wanted to give you all that opportunity as well to take the victim out. She is a survivor, she's thriving, and she's going to tell us a little bit about her background. And so I'll let her answer the question on what SRA is, because I do believe that she will have a better explanation than me. And then of course, I'll just ask all the questions. And then if you have any questions, definitely do drop them in the comments and we'll definitely get to them.
Okay.
So yes, thank you so much, Sarah, for being here.
Yes, thank you so much. And I love that that's the first question because it really just dives right to the point, which is what I'm all about, is just diving in. So SRA, I believe it really has a very wide definition and unique to everyone's experience. So I'll just dive into mine. In my experience, what satanic ritual abuse is a very consistent form of abuse that is based in satanic ritual. And I want to describe it for you in an energy form because that's really how I experience mostly everything is really just energetically. I'm so sensitive and having a photographic memory. So I'm going to describe this for you. And it's a lot of energy. So
it is. Take a few breaths. Like nothing has to go fast. Yeah.
So SRA to me, what that experience is, if you think of the darkest, and I say darkest loosely, form of energy with rituals, there is energy manipulation and siphoning. You are getting all of this energy directed towards you on so many different energetic levels and vibrations. And for me, what that feeling is getting completely shut off from any form of what we would consider positive human experiences, where you feel absolutely nothing. And a great way to describe it is like a mirror that represents the whole, and you drop that mirror and it fragments into tons of little pieces, and although they are separate, they're all still connected energetically. And in that experience of it, when you have something that really shatters the core of who you are and takes away all of that recognition of your soul, of your light, of your individuality, and you feel absolutely nothing, you're completely out of control. And the only thing that makes you feel alive is the sexual rage, torture of the human body from infancy and from conception. I have memory from conception, many conceptions. And taking complete pleasure and satisfaction in that. And that's what you live for. It's what you thrive for. It's all that you live for, is being able to take something that was original and pure and completely ravaging it on every single level till it has no concept of self. And when it's your family doing it to you in the name of God, and they always hide behind light, they hide behind God, they hide behind beauty, they hide behind women, they hide behind children. But in the reality of it, it is the most darkest energies and demonic forces, where it's like the most disgusting monsters. And the closest thing that I can describe it, if you've ever seen the movie Dark Crystal with the Skeksis, the way that they look, it's just this animalistic, where there's not really a form. I mean, it's like dead flesh, dead rotting. There's just nothing. And the only way they're surviving is on the essence of other people. And I was one of those people. All of my siblings were one of these people. And it's just to the point where it ruins every aspect of your life. It takes away every bit of safety and trust with anybody in the world, especially yourself. And it's this concept where, okay, so it's like, you could say the devil, Satan, whatever form you want to put on the darkest energy that we have in this planet right now, whatever that is to you, imagine that. And you see it as this outside force that is out to get you. And it's everywhere. It's everywhere you look. So you spend your whole life terrified and in fear that this darkness is everywhere and it's going to get you. Everyone. It's in everyone you know. It's everywhere you look. It's everything you hear. It's everywhere. And So I believe that running away from my family would get me away from this energy, this experience, which it did physically. It got me into safety within myself. But that darkness was always following me because I never realized that everywhere I was going, it was still within me energetically, following me everywhere I went. And it manifested physically in so many different ways. I could list you thousands of ways. So SRA is feeding off the most pure energy that is on this planet, the most powerful energy that's on this planet. And love is the only thing that is real. And so because of my experience, I have a whole new concept, but I feel like that kind of gives like a general definition of what that could be viewed as, is just a very consistent, like I said, from conception, from birth to however long you're in that system. And it is based in MK Ultra. It is based in the Monarch Project. It is based in trauma-based mind control, where they are doing these specific trauma-based patterns to you to make you split, to make you go into the place where you are turning everything inward. This year, on my birthday, I had an experience where at the time of my birth, I felt my soul coming into this planet. I felt the moment I was born. And hours later, that's when the whole COVID madness started. I was just happy, celebrating. It was so powerful and so beautiful. And then I go out into the world, and the energy that I feel is just like my family. Everyone's in fear. Everyone's confused. It's me against you. There's people that aren't sure what's happening. There's people who are amused. There's people that are terrified. There's people who are confused. There's children walking around being like, what is happening? I was even confused. Like, what is this? Like, is it a holiday? Like, is everyone celebrating my birthday? Like, what's going on? Like, what is this? Like, the line, it was just madness, everything overnight. And I was just really had to ask the question, what does this represent in my life? Where does this pattern show up in my life? And I got the answer. I only had moments of innocence before I was completely immersed into that energy, and it never stopped. It never stopped. Every second of my life was programmed. There was no freedom ever. And I could just keep going. So I hope, if you want me to keep going, or if there's any, clarifying questions or.
Thank you. Yeah. How did you know? How did you know that it was like a mind control? How did you know that it was, how did you know that you were going through that split? Because, we have that sense of innocence, and it's like almost unreachable, like you know what it feels like, and then all of a sudden it's like stripped from you. So at what point did you really find out for your own personal awareness that said, okay, this is like not what it's supposed to be right now?
Honestly, I would have to say about 2 or 3 years ago was when I really started to understand that my life and my childhood, there was something that I was missing really big. I spent most of my life just feeling completely dead inside, hating myself, just did self-abuse, numbing out alcohol, drugs for a long time. And once I had my children, it really just started another process, because then I started realizing there was just this absolute animalistic need to protect my child. Because in my reality, that was just what happens to babies, is they get abused. So that was my form of protection. And it was an uncontrollable, like it was just popped out of me in this way that I was like, oh my gosh, I just started realizing there was something that really really was affecting me. And it showed up in many ways. Like when I would go try, like I could never leave my children alone with anyone. I could never go on vacation without my children because I was just terrified to leave them. So it was like, had a lot of separation anxiety. I didn't trust anybody with my kids. So it was hard to have them with a babysitter or childcare or in a relationship. Like it was just everywhere in my reality. So that's when I really started to dig deeper. And I had pretty much everything in my life has been self-taught up to this point. And at that point, I had always focused everything outside of me. And when I started to really look in, like I heard this quote, and it's like, it's knowing who I am. It's that quote, know thyself. It's what's your divine? How do you connect? What's your gift? What's your message? What's your purpose? And I never had looked at that. I never looked at myself. I'd always just been so aware and needing to like survive the outside environment that I never had permission to actually look inside of myself. And when I did, that's when all the answers came out. I started getting flashes. For most of my life, the only memories that I had was sexual abuse with my siblings, with my older sisters. So I come from a polygamous family, so I have a big family. Most of my childhood, I only had one mom, which was my mom, so my dad and my mom. And then when I was about 8 or 9, he got a second wife, and then not long after that, he got his third wife. But my parents share 10 children. I'm 9 out of 10. So the abuse started all the way at the top of my family and all the way down. So I'm second to the youngest. So by that time, like I was already, deep in it. But conscious memory, all I had was really messed up memories of masturbating constantly. That was one thing. As a child, that was uncontrollable. I remember the first time I went to first grade, I could not sit in my chair because the need to masturbate was so, I don't know if it's okay to swear, but we can say it is therapeutic, cursing.
It's okay to swear.
It's hard for
It's
anyone.
okay to swear, yeah.
But it's like the urge was so fucking uncontrollable that I could not sit in my chair. And I look back and I was like, that was the first time I was ever removed from my family for a good amount of time. So just the fact that I could not sit in my chair because I legit had to go into the bathroom and masturbate. And as soon as I would go in the bathroom and masturbate, it would be followed by, oh my God, is someone recording this? Oh my God, is someone listening to this? Oh my God, is someone gonna catch me? And then be followed by guilt and shame and blame and anger and rage and resentment. And what the fuck? I can't control myself. And I'm 8 years old. And that was a constant state of being. And so that's what I knew. It's like, I knew that was there all the time. I knew with my siblings, there was instances that I had very specific memories of being completely naked and doing sexual things to each other and being manipulated into doing sexual things. Oh, here, let me, get me off, and then I'll get you off. And then, oh no, what the hell's wrong with you? I'm not going to get you off. Like, there's just blame and shame and manipulation. And then you hate them, you resent them. They just make you feel like crap. And so those were the main things that were constant in my awareness and those few memories. And so when I really started to look deeper and ask myself, what is this? I realized that it was so much deeper and so much bigger. And it started with tiny memories and feelings. And I asked my older sister, I'd say memories. Like, I would always ask, I was always trying to find, like, am I safe enough to address this? Like, do you guys remember sexually abusing each other? Do you remember this? Do you remember that? And it was usually a bit like, oh yeah, when you would masturbate like this, it would be like that, like it was always shaming. So I never could really have the safety to address that within my own family. And I was just trying to be like, hello, this is insane. Does anyone else see what's going on? And if you do, how are you just acting like, oh yeah, tra la la la, it's life. And so I got to this point where I would ask them, do you remember doing this? And I'd say, I'd have this memory, and they're like, yeah, we did it all the time. all the time. And then it's just like realization after realization after you just get it. And you're like, oh my God, it was all the time. That's all we ever did. That's all it was. If we weren't abusing each other, we were being taken and abused and tortured with our animals. They turned everything that we loved. The only time we got toys or candy or anything was when we were getting abused. That was our reward. You want candy? You want a toy? This is what you got to do to get it. And oh, you got to do that to her. Oh, and you have to watch us do that to her. And you can't do anything to save her. And if you do, you're going to get your ass beat because you don't feel sympathy for her. That's what she deserves. That's what you all deserve. And that's the energy of my whole childhood. And it followed me everywhere. And I just realized that I was out of control. I was completely out of control. I had anger. If I wasn't completely disconnected or in depression or just literally thinking, why the fuck don't I just take this knife and slit my throat right here? Oh, I can't because my kids will see. That's why. But that would be the daily, why not? Like if I wasn't in that state of being, then I was completely disconnected, or I would burst out in uncontrollable rage and anger. And I would lash out at everyone. I'd lash out at myself, or I'd be guilting, shaming, blaming myself. So I really had to look at, why do I hate myself so much? Why do I see myself as the most disgusting thing on this planet? I never stopped loving my family, ever. But I stopped loving myself. Those moments when I came into this world, I was pure light. I was pure light. I was pure love. I was perfect. I was whole. And the moment I stepped into this reality, I'm like, I can do this. I can be this light in this world that I came here to be. But the whole environment around me said, that is the worst thing that you can be. And they slap it down and they slap it down and they slap it down. And I don't blame them. I blame myself. It's me. It's my fault. Why did I come here to be a light? Why did I come here to be a truth that nobody wants to hear? Nobody wants to hear this truth, but it's my life. And I have to deal with it every second of every day. And it goes inward. I still find, and that's where it gave me the light, the compassion. And I realized it was mind control, because once I left, once I started to look, I was like, oh my God. And I realized the program in the outside world, how everything was mind controlled. Everything was, oh, here, look at this and this. And it's all subliminal. It's all subconscious. You don't even see it unless you've been programmed with it. And then you recognize it everywhere because it triggers the F out of you. It triggers the fuck out of you. And you're like, how can nobody see what's happening all around us? So that just blew my mind too. I was like, okay, yes, it's in my family, it's in the community, it's in the secret society. But then I look at the world and it's just another piece of the huge puzzle that everybody is a part of. I grew up believing I am completely separate from this world. What my family taught about the world to me since the moment of me being alive, everything outside of this family, of this community, of this God, of this belief is evil. They're the worst kind of evil. And if you go out there, they can't be trusted. You never go to a doctor. You never talk to the news. You never follow anything with the government. Like, we're completely, there's nothing out there. There's no education. There's no history. There's no connection to the world at all. So you are just in this tiny little bubble in America, which is mind-blowing, just a tiny little bubble, and walking around in Little House on the Prairie dresses, walking around with your hair braided, so 10 kids, 3 wives, huge families, just living in a normal neighborhood, being discriminated against, but nobody asks questions. Nobody says, what the hell is going on here? What's happening? What's with all these kids? So you live in complete poverty. So it just fragments on every single level. And once you start to pick that apart, you realize, oh my God, it was all a way of controlling. They turn you against each other. You're completely reliant on them. Nobody's ever going to save you. No one's ever going to question what's happening for you and to you and what happens to you. Nobody even knows that you exist. So good luck with that, pretty much. Like, you're fucked. This is all you have. Oh, and if you don't believe this, then the world out there is the most evil thing. They're going to attack you. They're going to torture you. They're going to kill you. They're going to rape you. They are the worst evil. And then you're going to pretty much be destroyed by demons. You're going to be raped. You know, you're going to, once you die, and they describe it, the streets running with blood, going house to house, being burned, being torn apart, being raped, and then just left for dead. And then once you die, you go to the worst imaginable hell. And if you're, not good enough either, and you're the worst kind of worse, then you get the second death, where your soul will be destroyed and you have nothing. So they take it on every level. They take away your body, your mind, your heart, your soul, your salvation, God, everything, every connection that you could ever think to call out to is never there. And so when you're in the worst of it, what do? You call out to God. You call out to something bigger. Someone help me. Someone help me. Can no one hear me? How can no one hear me? And it's this metaphor of being in a castle and screaming so loud that it rings like a bell, but nobody hears. Nobody comes. And you're just screaming and screaming and screaming and screaming. And so in that moment of realizing no one's coming to save me, to save myself, I split. And I split. And I split. And I split, and I split, and I split, and I split, and I become this part. Oh, I become my dad. Oh, I become my mom. Oh, I become my sister. Oh, I become this abuser. I become this person because I don't know how to be me. So I'm just gonna copy you. I'm gonna become you because I don't know what this is. I'm just a mixture of everything around me in my environment, and realizing that that is where I spent my whole life, in a tiny, tiny piece of compartment. And they use phrases, keep sweet no matter what, keep sweet. It's a matter of life and death. You don't tell anybody. You pray and you obey. The whole classic, children should be seen and not heard. You are just here for me to use and abuse, and you cannot do anything outside of that. It's complete control on every single level. So you have no way out. You believe you have no way out. And I was talking with my older sister about this the other day. And the best way I can describe it is like, if you have a trauma that creates a fragment in your consciousness, and I mean, and I'm just saying this for my own, trying to understand what this is like. So imagine you have a trauma that fragments itself, and you have, like, let's say in this trauma, like, say, for example, if you've been ritually abused, and you're exposed to it for one time, but when you're exposed to it for that one time, it happened a lot of different times in that one period of time. So you're fragmented to deal with that part because it was so traumatic and you can't grasp your brain around it. And then you go back into your life. So then you just forget about it. Okay. And so, like, let's say then in my experience, where it's a constant every single day, all the time, that's all it is just constantly fragmenting, constantly being in trauma, constantly just being in a state of fear and survival. It gets more defined. Those splits get split. There's more compartments, there's more parts, there's more aspects, there's more ages, there's different things. So it's easier to be like a high functioning dysfunctional, because you're just so used to it that you're not even aware that you're not whole, because you've never experienced being whole. And so to someone, when they then access that fragmented part, when they're safe enough, it looks like a psychotic break. It looks like they can't handle it. It looks like it's too much. And so for me, trying to figure it out, like, why would it be so hard for it to be like a complete break, where it's like they just can't handle it, where it's like they lose their mind completely? Because I'm like, why haven't I lost my mind? Why am I not like out there fucking losing my shit if all this has happened? And so for me, it's like, that's the easiest way I could grasp it, is like, that's because it's so defined that I'm just a high functioning dysfunctional with no clue. And when I first heard about other people's experience of satanic ritual abuse and mind control, I resonated with it, and it was just like, oh my God, like, if that's real, how is it real? Even first of all, like, I didn't think like, oh, this is my reality. Like, it blew my mind that people were walking around out there that had no clue this had happened to them. That's what blew my mind. Like, how is there just normal people out there that have no idea that this is happening to them? And in one moment, they could be triggered into like an assassin who could go and do some crazy thing and then have no fucking clue that they did that. But then if you look at the movies, there's a lot of examples where they use spies like that, where they'll do a different aspect and different things. So it's like, we see it around us. And just being able to experience it, though, is like, oh my God, I was one of those people. And when I was drawn to understand it, was because my soul wanted to heal it. My soul wanted to acknowledge it. It was ready. And I did not have access to that concept or that reality or that perception of how many splits there was until I was safe enough, until I felt like, okay, I can actually look at this and address it and start to heal it. So I know that was so much. So I'm gonna.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I know that everyone's with us right now, and I know everyone's listening. You know, generally the comment boxes are like full, and I just know that everybody's listening right now. And what you're sharing is putting the pieces together of what we see in our environment around here too. Now having this awareness, right? Like having the awareness that we have, and then having a person in front of us sharing their story puts the pieces together, and it says, man, what we're experiencing in this world is of that nature. We are literally mind fucked into hurting one another, and to thinking that's normal. And it's not normal to do this to one another, or our families, or our children, or our brothers and sisters, or our parents. It's not normal. So even as a young child, you knew it wasn't normal, and you were still praying to God. And you know, I don't know if you knew you were going to be saved at one point, but you did get saved, and you did escape at the age of 12. So I want to ask the question about the conception part, because I know that might be confusing for some people. So I'm sure you've had some recollection of your memories as you were conceived, and I do remember you were sharing your story and saying that it has been 7 lineages on your dad's side, and 3 lineages on your mother's side, and then that coming kind of to a halt with you as you completely break free from that. And so can you speak a little about the ancestral, you know, ritual, or you can even go into detail of like what it means to be in a ritual in that way, or how you were taught, or how the mind control happened, and then sharing the conception part too.
Yeah, absolutely. So ancestrally, like, that's really where most of my healing has began, is healing my cells, healing my body. That's where all of my memories, like I always say, my brain or my consciousness is always the last place, like the last one to get the message. Like, my body knows, my heart knows, my soul knows. I just know within me. And when I access the memories, it is in muscle memory. So when I'm doing healing, it's very physical. I have to get in the movement. I have to get in the energy, because the abuse was so big and so physical that to even move it in my body, I had to. And the first time I had this recollection, like recall of my conception, and it's just evolved ever since then, was about a year or two ago, when I did a breathwork process, which is super powerful. And I'd never done it, so I had no idea what to expect. You know, I'm like, oh, I want to have this beautiful, magical experience. You know, like, I just, you know, was just there for it. And I really never could have planned it. I never could have, you know, like, expected or planned that. And in that, I realized that the influence of our parents, our grandparents, all the way down, and it's 7 generations, but when I connect to it, it goes so far back. It goes like as far back, like that's the thing with this type of abuse, is it just doesn't end. When you connect to it, it doesn't end. It just goes and goes and goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. So I say 7 generations and 3 because that's what I know confirmed in me, that I feel like, yes, absolutely, I know that. But in my experience, I also know that it's a lot bigger and a lot deeper and goes really far back. And that's why I chose in on a soul level to this bloodline, because I've been experienced in it as well. I know I had past life recallings where I was the abuser. I was in this energy of I will do anything to sacrifice my children, anything to get what I want. I know that it is not just here. This has been a soul journey for so long for me. And this is the part where it's just like embodying my soul and realizing that it is passed down. It's not just something that happens overnight, not in that extent, not to that depth. It's something that is so big and so deep. And my parents were not born into the religion, the FLDS. They joined, and I honestly believe that he found it through a child sex ring. Like,
what
I
is
honestly believe it.
FLDS?
So they're the fundamentalist Mormons. So what they believe is they follow Joseph Smith's original teachings of polygamy. And so that's where they started off, was, you know, from like Joseph Smith, Brigham Young, John Taylor, keeps going, and I can't remember. So that's the religion that they joined, and they originally were LDS. So in the LDS, I mean, they keep a very strong, like, they keep track of their records. They keep track of the people. Like, it is very Puritan almost, if you know, it's like, to me, that's what it is. It's like, and they all believe that they have a superior bloodline. It is like it's like the Nazis. They believe we're pure, we're a superior race. Everyone else below us is pretty much crap. You're here for us to like get to our highest glory when you're nothing, you know? So it's just this place that they just believe that they're superior, their bloodline superior, and they can pretty much do whatever they want, because, you know, how they control the people is God gave us the power. We have the truth. We have the key to your salvation. We have the key to your soul. We have, if you want anything to go and be good in your life, especially after you die, then you have to do everything that we say. And so it's really just on every single level. And when I connect to my parents, like my mom, she was raped by her dad. And my mom's mom didn't believe her. That was the exact same pattern with my mom. She turned around and then married someone exactly like her father. There's just so many different levels of, they don't want you to heal. They don't want you to ask questions. You just don't talk about it. I mean, and both of my grandparents, and in their families, were allowed to do whatever they wanted sexually. Like, when we would go to California every single year, and this is something that's been coming up, like, I am very damn clear that it's connected to Bohemian Grove. We would go to California every single year. We would see our grandparents, we would see our family. And the extent of my memories would be that we would go there and would always be in the middle of the night. So there's very different things, like very different patterns, that we're going to leave in the middle of the night. So you're not really there. You're going to be discombobulated. We'll drug you. They'll put you in there. And in most of the abuse memories in the beginning, it would always start as just going, like, oh, I'm going to go to this place. And then there's nothing. Like, I had no memory of being there. I have no memories of seeing my grandparents. I have no yay happy grandparents. And if you're locked in a society and you go out to California and the beach and this, like, you think like, oh my God, that would be the best part of my life, that I would have every recall of that. But it's nothing. And when I connect to the energy of my grandparents, when I connect to the energy of that, it is nothing. And once I left, which was another big thing, no one reached out to me. No one came and helped me. And if you're this great, holy, you know, great family who is of God and following, and you're LDS, why aren't you reaching out? Why aren't you helping us? And when I was leaving, my dad used that as a threat. Oh, you want to leave? I'll send you to California with your parents, with my grandparents. Oh, but you're too much of a shit for that. You're too evil for that. We wouldn't want to put that on them. So again, it's like, you're too bad for the worst. Like, I won't even put that on them. So it takes everyone away from you, and you just see it on so many different levels that it's in your blood, it's in your cells, and it's this automatic programming. And I'll use an example, and this is really, really vulnerable for me, but I'm just gonna do it because I want you guys to understand the struggle. Imagine, you're just living your life, you have your kids, my daughter's 9, my son's 12, which is triggering enough because I was 12 when I left. My daughter's 9, which was the age that I started my period. So all these different things that come up where I'm like, oh, I don't believe it. But then I see my daughter going into puberty, and I remember the energy of my dad coming, and we're all lined up naked, and he's inspecting us, and he's like, what the fuck is this? What is this? You're growing up, you're getting a body, you're changing your breast, like all these things where it just shouldn't have to recall that with your own daughter, but it triggers me so bad that I know that it's real. And then I could just be there watching something or have a thought, about like, oh, I really want to educate my children to be safe in sex. And I want to be able to communicate with that in a healthy way that isn't triggering for me, that isn't coming from fear. I want them to have a better experience. And then the next thought and the next thing that you see in your mind is, oh, the only way to do that is to fuck them. The only way to do that is to abuse them. The only way to do that is to do it. Oh, and it's not bad. They enjoy it. It's what they want. And I have to be like, what the fuck is that? That is not me. That is an energy that has been alive in my family for so long, where it just is there. It takes on a life of its own, and it controls you. So when you're that monster that's outside of you, you realize it's inside of you, and it pops out and it attacks the people that you love. So you keep them away, and you don't allow yourself to love them or connect to them because you do not want to hurt them. You don't want to lose control and let that monster out and get them. You don't want that. So then it rips everything, and you're just in this state of, how can I live? How can I survive? How can I protect my child from myself? From myself. From myself. And so it's deep. When I connect my experience of my conception in the breath work, it started with drums. And as it started with drums, it just started with this recall of like, oh my gosh, it's a heartbeat. And all of a sudden, it's like I was there. I could feel it. I could feel being in the womb. That was me. I was like, oh my God, I remember what it feels like. And as it sped up, it's like, oh my God, I know, like, this is my conception. This is the moment of my conception. I could feel the energy, like the moment that my soul connected to any physical form, any cell in this body that was my mom's womb. I instantly knew. And it was this feeling of, I'm fucked. I'm fucked. Why did I do this? What's coming for me? The energy of my dad, of just, oh yay, another object for me to completely use and own and put into everything. Oh, it's just another asset. The energy of my mother, absolutely there, nothing there. A shell, empty shell of a woman. She's nothing there. She could never stand up for us. She never said anything. And I used to believe my mother was the good guy. My poor mother, she's the good guy. And looking back now, the pain of her justifying and fucking choosing him and the church and everyone over her children hurts way worse than the abuse. The person not standing up for you, it almost enrages you even more. Like, yes, you're hurt. Yes, you're in trauma. Yes, you're in pain. But stand up for your children. 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 Because the moment you stand up for your child, you're standing up for yourself. You're standing up for every fucking person on this planet. Every person on this planet has an experience where they wish someone would have shown up for them, where they would have known that I matter enough, that you will be there for me unconditionally and just love me, not fix me. Just love me. Just say, I fucked up. I take ownership for not being there, but I've never gotten that ever. And I never will from them in this physical life. So in that moment of knowing what I would experience by the energy of them, it was an energetic roadmap. I knew what was coming. And every time I connect to the energy of being in there, I experience everything in my mother's womb. There is no separation. I remember being outside of my mother's body and watching her laying on a table and everything. There's always a red tint. Every time I connect to satanic abuse, there's always, the room is red, always red. And there's a table and it looks like an altar and she is completely naked. I don't know if looks like she's dead. I'm confused because it's like her eyes are open and she's pregnant. Obviously, I can feel me inside of her body. I can see her pregnant belly on the outside, and I can see her being abused. I can see her being tortured. I can see her just being completely disassociated, fragmented. And I experience it from her, from inside the womb, from outside the womb, of everyone in the room. So there's no separation. Everything that they did to her, they did to me. So my body was already preparing for what was coming. And it's that feeling of fuck and knowing. I mean, my mom had 10 children and they say for every child she had 10 miscarriages. It's a baby every 9 months. My dad's second wife, a baby every 9 months. Family meeting, sit down, guess what? She's pregnant. And that's your responsibility. So there was just so many parts of it where they just ingrained that the only thing you're worth is here to be my servant to men. You're here to be a servant to men. And the fact that you're a girl means that you are nothing. It's because you are a girl, you are nothing. Absolutely nothing. You have no value. You have no right to speak up, to have an opinion, to want to live a life, to go get an education, to have a job, to think for yourself, to find love for yourself. You don't get to choose who you marry. We're going to tell you who you married. And it could be a 90-year-old man with 100 fucking wives and you can't say shit. And you won't know until the day you step up into that fucking altar and say yes. And if you say yes, your soul, you're damned and you will be disconnected, discommunicated, and you're pretty much fucked. So they install it on every single level that you have no choice. You have nothing. And when you get to that realization that it comes in from the moment, it's like we're always conscious. I always thought, oh, I didn't know. No, the part of me that is really me, my soul, my heart, my truth, my knowing was always aware, was always conscious, especially when they thought that I was not conscious. That's when I was my most conscious because I was there on every level. I have a memory that came up when I questioned why I have guilt, survivor's guilt on keeping my light, being able to access my light. Why wasn't I able to be completely programmed? Why didn't they completely cut me off from myself? Why did I always know? I always knew that I would leave. That was my dream. It's like, oh my God, if I can just grow up and leave, then that's what I want. Then I'll be successful. And I knew that that's what I was going to do. I just fucking knew it. There was no part of me ever. And today I got this really big. As everything is going crazy in the world right now, the people that I viewed as, oh my God, they really know, they're really connected, they're really there. I'm starting to see everyone where they're coming from, their trauma, their pain, where they can't see the whole picture, where they're being manipulated, where they're being guided, where they're being pushed around energetically. And it reminds me so much of my family. And I connect to one of the most innocent and young aspects of myself in a complete panic, that she's aware of all of the insanity that's going on and nobody's aware. Nobody's reacting. Everyone's acting like everything's perfectly fine. This is normal. And I'm just sitting there in a complete panic. What the fuck is happening? I feel like I'm going crazy. How can you guys not see this? I'm a kid and I know. I'm a kid and I know. How do you not know? How do you not remember? How do you not see? How do you not feel this? And when I question that guilt of being able to survive, no matter how bad my life has been, there's always been a part of me that said, no, I know that there's more. And when I think of it as a kid, it's looking up into the stars and just being in complete awe of creation, just creation. And looking up and knowing that that was me looking back at me. There was no separation. I was everything. I got to be everything. I knew it. I knew that was real. That knowing was real. And nothing that anyone could tell me could change that. Nothing was like, what? No, what are you even talking about? This is real. Knowing that you're everything, knowing that there is no limit, there is no separation. I am everything and I get to experience everything. And that belief is what drew me. And when I saw that, where I really got that, I had a memory of being maybe 5 or 6 years old. And I'd never had this memory before until I asked this question, why do I feel this guilt? And I all of a sudden see it. And again, it's red, everything's red. And I'm naked. I'm with my mom and my dad. They're naked. There's tons of people in this room. They're all naked. They're all abusing each other. And as I'm sitting there, I connect to myself in the moment, being abused while my parents are both there. And I can feel everything that they're doing from them doing it. Like as they're doing it to me, I feel it as them doing it to me. I'm watching from above the room. I can feel and hear what everybody's thinking, what everybody's feeling. I feel every single part of everybody in that moment, in the abuse. And when I look into my parents' eyes, I just see that stream of darkness coming through and I recognize, oh my God, it's not you. It's not your soul. It's not your heart. It's not your truth. It's all the pain. It's all the fear. It's all the programming. It's everything in your life that has pushed you to this point. You're just in so much pain, and the only way you know how to love is to torture me, because that's the only way you know how to feel anything. Is you feed off of my pain. So then I know you don't get that way just by loving parents, just happening. Like it goes for so deep and so ingrained in you that it takes on a life of its own. And it just continues on and on and on. And that's where I found the compassion. That's where I found the forgiveness. That's where I found this part where it's like, I can't blame you. It's like, it's just like that. It takes away, it takes away the anger, it takes away the rage. And then when I say that, it's like, it doesn't mean that I still don't feel that way. It's just, it's not coming from a place of, I want to do the same to you, because that's what I felt for my whole life. If I could see you, I'd do the exact same thing to you. I'm gonna turn this light on. It doesn't come from there anymore. This feels like the greatest example I can give is my experience of Christ consciousness, of what that experience is in my life, is being a human on this planet and going through the worst imaginable horrors that you can imagine, being ripped apart on every fucking level, and doing it for everyone because you love them so much that you're willing to do that. And in that moment where you are completely destroyed in the worst aspect of it, in the darkest dark, you find your own light. You find unconditional love. You find unconditional compassion, unconditional forgiveness. And you find humor. I can have a horrific remembrance of being abused, and then I can get the cosmic joke and laugh for hours outrageously without stopping. And that is the ultimate transmutation and transformation. It's being a diamond, going into the darkness, observing it, acknowledging it, feeling it, absorbing it, and then shining it out into the purest love that is available on this planet, that doesn't originate from this planet. Because if it was, we would be living in a completely fucking different world. It would shatter the world as we fucking know it. And the fear that I feel coming to share my story, I just keep being reminded by Spirit. I am affected by an energy that this world is not prepared to deal with. Because that is my essence, that is my power, that is who I am. And I came here for that, to be that, to shine the light that is my soul into the darkest places in this planet. And where are the darkest places in this planet? Sexual abuse, ritual abuse, torture, human trafficking, human exploitation, children, everything. That's where I came into, to shine the light, which is love, which is compassion. And now that doesn't mean that I can't get angry. It doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. It just means that I am no longer suffering because I get the cosmic joke. I'm not in resistance. All of my life, I was resisting the truth, which caused me pain and continued the pain and brought more pain. Oh, you want pain? Let's pile it on. Let's pile it on. Let's pile it on. And so getting to a place where I completely have just compassion and love. And that means that I do not enable your behavior. That does not mean that I continue to let you be destructive. That does not mean that I can't hold you accountable. That is the ultimate compassion, holding you accountable, having forgiveness and not letting you continue. You don't get to treat me that way. You don't get to treat anyone that way. So I see that as the ultimate compassion, is saying no, is stopping it, is not taking this fucking shit anymore on any fucking level for anybody, because I came here to say no to abuse. I came here to say no to abuse for myself so I can say it for everybody else. Because that is the ultimate piece that really binds us all together. There's so much sexual shame. There's so much shame around sexual expression. There's so much shame around anything that you might feel that's outside the norm. And a big part of this is, what do you say to people that don't believe you, that can't believe that this is real? And that's the biggest thing in my life that has got me to this point, is when I know that I'm right, the world does not need to know how or why. Mm-hmm. I don't have to justify it. I know, and that's all I know. And I trust myself that I know I will do the best thing for myself and everyone in every moment. And if I can trust that, then I have such a more solid foundation than I ever had in my life before, ever. And it's an incredible place to reach. And I am so blessed that I have reached it. And I know that was so much.
It's beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm honored and blessed to be able to be healed and in a space that I'm ready to stand up. I'm ready to show up. And my love is what's been my driving force as a kid. Is everything that they taught us was fear, and everything I knew was love for everybody. And so that's just what I can strive to be, is just love and compassion, and just be that mirror that I'm putting back together with gold in between the cracks, to just shine out and be that reflection to everyone else and remind them that you matter, you're powerful. I see the beauty that you are, and I love you and accept you unconditionally. And all I want for you is to be happy, to be whole, to be loved, to be magical, to be outrageously you. Like, we just need more of that, because there is no separation. And the more you become you, the more I become me. why would I not want you to be more of you? Because I get more of me. And that's beautiful. I'm like, yes, get more of you. Then I get more of me and I get more friends and we all get to play. So let's just play and really stand up and speak the truth and own it and face it, because that's the only way that it changes ever.
True.
Is we have to change our experience on the inside to change our outside experience.
Yeah, you're sharing so much of the truth that is so personal to you, but we're just seeing it in our society. And so you're just bringing it like super focused and right here, right now. So when you escaped when you were 12, is that when your true healing journey began? Or was that, did you, find something else to assist in your healing? Where did you land when you left?
So when I left, I actually just ran away to, we were living in Colorado City, which is in Arizona. It's the Hilldale on the Utah side and Colorado City on the Arizona side. So we were living there. I ran away to the neighboring city, Hurricane, which is like 45 minutes away. And St. George Hurricane is where a lot of the ex-polygamists go. And so I just moved in like with these kids that had left too. There's maybe like one girl, most of them were boys, usually from like older to like maybe 15. I don't know. There's just a lot of boys, more boys than girls. Most of the boys would get kicked out. So when I left there, I mean, it was a 2-bedroom, tiny townhome. And there was maybe like 20 to 50 of us just chilling there, like just, bumming out. We called it the butt hut. Like you're just living at the butt hut. And so it just, you get thrown into a world where you have never been before. You have no footing, you have no family, you have nothing at all. So I just went into alcohol, drugs, party to party, place to place. I never really had anywhere stable. I have siblings that have left. But when you go through this type of trauma, like it's really hard to have any sort of healing. And we were all just barely trying to survive, and we didn't really, have many resources. But so I could go and like stay with my sister and her husband randomly, but it was really just place to place. I would go party to party, boyfriend to boyfriend, relationship to relationship. Once I got pregnant at 18, that's when I really started like getting, like, okay, I got to get serious. Like, this is not about me anymore. So that's really when it all began to be more focused on me and in reality. And then I met my husband like a year and a half later. And when I met him, that's really when I started to really just start looking inside and looking at the world. And I was just, again, surviving, worked a 9-to-5 job, took care of my kids, was a wife, just trying to hold everything together, which is a miracle that I've even got this far. And even though I know that I've struggled, it's like I'm doing so fucking good for where I've come from, that it's just like I do have to praise myself in that, because I know that I'm doing amazing. But it's really just to this point where, yeah, like I said, a couple years ago, I mean, I've never gone to therapy. I've never had any help with any organization or anything like that. Like, I've never really gotten any assistance or anything. So it's just been, I mean, scraping by. I mean, right now, I mean, I live in an apartment. It's not like I'm rich and I have all these things, but how I feel inside has changed so incredibly much, where I don't feel in survival. I know that what I need is going to show up, and it always does. And I everything I do, I show up. Like, if I show up 100% and I am authentic and and I feel satisfied, I get to live my dream. I don't know how, but I just know that it will. And so that's really is like, I've just have this huge belief and trust within myself that I have been able to follow. And it's so far, it's gotten me pretty good. And over the last 2 years, I've done a lot of inner work. I've done a couple of retreats, and it's a continuous process now. Every single day, I'm self-aware. Every single day, I'm asking questions. Every single day, I'm moving my energy. I'm looking for new insights. I'm creating new opportunities. Like, it's just every second that I've built so much momentum of healing now that I'm kind of just along for the ride. And so the fact that you reached out and everything that we're here, like, everything is just divinely orchestrated. And I just know that if I show up, the right things will show up. And I've been extremely lucky that, you know, I am where I am. And the biggest struggle in all of that, I think, was drugs and alcohol were way more available than food. Like, I remember I would go weeks without food. And even as a child, that was a huge thing that they would use, as we never really had food. So being able to really find abundance in the most basic human needs is huge. It's like, I feel so abundant when I have a full fridge, when I can cook a great meal. Like, I love cooking. I love it. It just is from my heart. It's something good. And it just, I love things like that, that the food that not only feeds my body, but feeds my soul. And I love it when people love my food. And so it's just like, that's where I am now, is really just moving all of it into love and what I want to create and how I want to show up and how I want to share and how I want to inspire people to really say yes to themselves and to heal and to face those dark parts and to realize that you are so lovable with everything that you've been through. You're completely just perfect. And I just want, you know, to share that as much as I can, because I've wanted that for so long in my life, to just feel like I matter and feel good about myself. And I just want to make people feel good about themselves.
You're doing it. You're definitely doing it. Wow. So do you ever meet people who just negate your story, who just like don't even accept you as you are?
Yes. And I feel like the majority of them are usually pretty religious or just very set in their beliefs. And so when that happens, like, you know, this is one thing I always look at when I'm speaking with someone. One, are they safe enough to hear what I'm saying? Two, you know, am I really coming from a place of trying to empower them? Or, you know, is it something like that they really want to know? Or, you know, am I coming from a place that they don't really want to know, but I feel like I should tell you just to like try and convince you? That feels disempowering, you know? It's like, if you don't really hear, wanting to hear what I have to say, then, you know, I can acknowledge that. And so, you know, I usually will go just by what their energy is and where they feel. And if I do get a negative response, I can usually see where it's coming from, whether it's their own trauma or their own fear, or what that means about them, you know, the story they tell themselves. And, you know, like, if it means they're bad and wrong, or they can't do what I'm doing, or whatever it is. And so I just really just come from compassion and just be like, I totally get it if it's above where you can perceive or understand. And all I ever want is just, you know, to have an open heart, to have an open mind, and just be open to really hearing that this does happen, and it happens to real people that you see. Like, it could be your next door neighbor, it could be in your church, it could be anywhere. And all we want to know is that we're safe enough to speak up. We're safe enough that people really want to hear, not to judge or not to pick apart, but just to be. And not, you know, saying that because this is my experience that that's your reality. I totally understand. We're all individuals and we all have our own way to find what our truth is. And I honor you on your path of finding it. And all I hope is that you honor me on my path, and just being open to receive insights. And that's a huge thing that I've gotten, is everyone has a piece of the truth. And that's why I love meeting people and new cultures. And I'm open to everything. And that's what I love about self as education, is there's no boundaries to what I can look in. Like, if I want to learn about the earth, I can go and I can look for hours. I can discern for myself what I believe, what I find. Like, there's just so many parts where I now have permission to really discover what I love and what makes me happy and what makes me passionate. So just really being able to be solid. And like I said before, you know, when I know I'm right, the world doesn't need to know how or why. And when I go into that, it feels like justification. And when I justify, then that's coming from the ego. It's making me its slave, and it's taking away my confidence. It's destroying my confidence every time I justify. And that's the opposite of what I'm doing. I'm here to build my confidence. I'm here to build my manifestation. I'm here to build my trust. So it's really just trusting myself. If I feel like, yes, is this person open and wanting to hear? Or can I just plant a little seed here or there that where they're at their perception that they'll get and one day grow into something bigger. So I really just am all feeling, and it's all about the feeling and connection. Like, oh, am I safe? Are you safe enough to hear this? And I just, really want my message and, feelings to be clear. And I want, to create the safety for other people to do that, because that's what I've wanted my whole life. It's like, I want the whole truth. I want your raw, real, authentic truth, because that is love to me. Like, you don't know truth, then you don't know love. So that's what I feel like. Absolutely.
Well, you're like the ultimate transmutation story. Like, you've literally transcended all of the darkness, as you were sharing earlier. And like, I see this glow about you, and I see this like light in you. And when you smile and when you share and your eyes twinkle, and I'm like, even though she's experienced all of this, she's still holding it down for like the good, she's just like real here, like holding it down for the good. And so one thing that came through while you were sharing was that you are, because you've had such insane experiences, I'll say, it's just, you can't fathom going through that. You really can't fathom it until someone says it to you, and then you feel the energy of what you receive. And so just listening to you, and then seeing that twinkle in your eye and that light about you is like, man, she's just the ultimate channel. Like, she's the ultimate channel of truth, because she's no longer a filter that is opaque or dark. The filter is completely clear, and you can stand in the face of that darkness and be clear with it, and which makes you an amazing coach. So that's what you do now, right?
Yes, I do. I'm all about just really supporting and getting clear with people on what it is that makes them light up. What's the barrier that's been stopping you? What's been holding you back from, the belief and the knowing that you deserve to live the best life, and not only the best life, but the life that you cannot even imagine. And I want to give a great example. So I have been committed to stretching myself in every way. And I signed up for this 12-month program, which really just, helped on so many levels. And my goal and my reward for completing this program was going to be to travel, and not only to travel, but to travel for free and to get paid to play, pretty much is what my goal was. And so I just set that intention. I'm like, I don't know how it's going to happen. I just know that I'm going to show up 100% and it's going to show up. And so I had two opportunities. One was going to be Portugal for 2 weeks, pretty much free. And then one was a trip to Hawaii. And at first I'm like, oh my gosh, Portugal, I kind of fell through. But as soon as Portugal fell through, Hawaii popped up. And I got to go to Hawaii for a week free with my sister, with my best friend, to actually have the first experience with my sister of being a kid. It was the first positive experience of being at the beach together, where there was no attachment. We just got to play. We just got to be real. We got to be a little kid. And it was just so beautiful. And that's when I really got it, is what we really want is to just feel good. And once we got it, I was like, oh my God, I believed when I got to Hawaii, I would feel amazing, which I do. But what I got is I want to bring Hawaii into every moment of my life. And so that's what I've been doing. I just anchor it in that moment of, I just get to play. I just get to breathe. I just get to show up and be me. And that's all I have to do. And that's how I make the world a better place. That's how I heal myself and others, is I show up authentically me, and I create enough safety and trust for everyone else to feel safe enough to do that for themselves, so that we can all just be real and party and live and create the world that we all know is fucking possible. Because let's not get it twisted. We're some badass souls. And if we are here in this moment, it's because we came to shake the shit up and to create the world that we all fucking deserve for everyone. And it is for everybody. So everything that I do, it's for everyone, because I know there is no separation, and the most I can do is show up for myself. So that's just, it is fun and it's incredible, and I want to share it with everyone, and I want everyone to experience it. It's like that song, if you could bottle it up, I would.
I love it. Yeah. So what I'm hearing is like you essentially can empathize with anyone because
Yes.
you've been through it. And
Yeah.
that's it's a true
Yeah.
hostess and hold space
Absolutely.
holder for humanity. And so
Absolutely.
with the uprise of the things that are happening in the awareness of our collective, um, do you have any words to share about people who might not really be aware of how big this issue is? Yeah.
Um, Honestly, I would say the best way, like if I wanted to say this is what I feel like will be the best thing that you could do to prepare yourself for what is happening in our world right now, is getting real with yourself, getting real as fuck with yourself, addressing your own issues, addressing your own patterns, your toxic energy, your toxic behavior, finding forgiveness and compassion for yourself, really going in and connecting with your inner child, healing that inner child. And I see it in 3 stages. Like the first stage is like saying hello. The second stage is bonding and creating like a relationship. The third stage is integration on every single level. And it's almost the same on the level of, it's like the hero's journey. You start in victim and then you become a survivor. And now I'm a motherfucking hero. Like I'm my own hero. So it's all of these different stages where like, I went from being in survival my whole life
Mhm.
to victimhood to survival to being my own fucking hero. And that's
Mhm.
what we all need to do is be your own hero.
Mhm.
Follow your own guidance. Stop looking outside of yourself. Stop looking to gurus, people that you think that know it and you don't. Go back within. Know that you have everything you need within you, and it's all within your inner child. It's all in your heart. It's all in the compassion and forgiveness for everybody. And I am able to have so much empathy. And my husband just came and brought me a little ladybug. Aw.
Ugh.
Yes, it's so easy to just let go of critical and judgment. Stop being critical and judgmental of other people. Stop being critical and judgmental of yourself. That is the biggest like destroyer of confidence, and that's all we need. We need to build all the confidence that we have because we are powerful. So own our power. Say no to abuse and say yes to yourself.
Yes. And this is the way to prepare yourself for all of the waves of information that are going to pour through our mainstream media at this time. And you're hearing it first on my channel with Sarah here. This is the first time I've had an interview of this nature about child exploitation and human trafficking. And I do believe that our meeting was completely divine, just like you said. It's perfectly timed. There's so much information that's about to infiltrate, and it's really about getting clear about how we feel about our own internal truth, because the external truth is going to taunt us when it comes out. And so
Yep.
you sharing your story is brilliant. Thank you so much for enduring and for persevering and knowing that there is something extraordinary, there's something better out there, because that is what all of our collective is going to look for during this time, and you are a testament to that. So I just want to read some of the comments of what people have been saying about
Okay.
you.
Yes, I'd love to hear.
um I can't go all the way back, so I can only see what I see. So I'm going to say, Kenneth says, you are truly blessed. Kat says, thank you for sharing your story. Leah says, thank you for sharing part of your story and being real and transparent and honest. 100%, I 100% believe you, and you do matter. Tom says, really admire her inner strength. Brian says, Sarah is for real. Allison says, you did bottle it up in a brilliant video. Thank you so much. Mickey says, great gratitude to you, sister, for sharing your light, your gift to the planet, your contribution of lifting universal consciousness with quantum compassion. Allison says, sometimes the inner child can run away too, so we have to realize that and find them and bring them back first.
Yeah.
So this is what it is. It's like you said it early on. You said, when we all connect and stand up for our child, we stand up for the rest of the world, and the world gets to heal through their Oh, their lost childhood, the
Yeah.
childhood that didn't get to be had. And so now you're living that and you're breathing that and you have this beautiful family and you look so happy. And I hope you write a book. I hope that
Yes.
book comes out very
Yes.
soon. Um, if people want to connect with you for your service or even just to have another conversation with you, would you like to share your information with them?
Yes, absolutely. So you can always reach me on Facebook. Facebook, it's Sarah Elizabeth Taylor. You can see tagged in this video. Send me a friend request. Reach out to me. I do have a podcast on Anchor. You can reach it on, I think most platforms have it. It's called Deep Truth with Sarah Taylor. And you can reach out to me at deeptruth1212@gmail.com. And that's usually the fastest way to get to me. So it's been incredible. And I'm so blessed. And I love everyone's comments. Thank you so much. My inner child's like, yay, now I get to go celebrate and just bask in all the like acknowledgments and joy. And it really means so much to me to have this opportunity to connect with all of you on so many levels.
Yeah. I am so grateful just from hearing your story. Like you are also healing me and providing that insight for me too. And I'm just so grateful. And I do hope that you and I do more work together because I do
Yes.
believe that, both of us together could bring out some really great things. So I'm going to put that into the ethers and be like, yo, God,
Yes, you got it.
like
I'll have
make
my
it
people
happen.
call your people through the
Yeah.
stars with the connection.
Yeah. If anybody, I'm going to say, oh, last comment. Okay, if you can put your LinkedIn post in the
Yes.
comments so that people
Yeah.
can see that. It's never too late to have a good childhood, someone says. And then Anna says, a queen sitting on her throne. Yeah.
Oh,
So thank you so much for sharing everything. We
thank
went
you.
deep and then we came out, and it's just what I want to stress to whoever's watching and how far this video travels is that to use this as an anchor point, an
Yes.
anchor point for the truth that is your inner light, and that inner child has a capacity to be free if we allow them to be free, and to not fear the information that's going to come out into the mainstream media, because this is a preparation for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love you
Absolutely.
so much.
I love you so much too. Thank you
Yeah.
so incredibly much. I'm sending you energetic hugs and love.
I'm
Yes.
receiving you. Yeah, I'm hugging you too. Thank you. And we'll definitely chat again. Yes?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Yes.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Thank you
Thank
everyone
you.
that
Thank you,
joined.
everybody.
And I will I will give this, I will like send this to you too, so you'll have it too as an anchoring point for you too. And much gratitude. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's all I have to say. I'm just like in awe, and I'm just like, thank you, God, for bringing us together. Yeah. Bless
Yes.
everyone. And we'll see you next time on Fearless Friday.
Yes, just
Bye.
keep playing. Bye.